I know I could use a break, and you look long overdue for a laugh. Hey, let's go grab some drinks, 'cause it's Beverages with Brad.
Welcome to Beverages with Brad. This is my guest, Jamie Angell, today. I guess let's just start with the basketball. Why'd you get into
Basketball. My dad, who was very well known and talented, and his potential was just like through the roof. He brought me down to the courts. I started playing. It became my number one love, and quickly I realized my talents and my skill level was way beyond my age.
How was your dad as far as some sports parents can be a pain in the ass? Was he?
He was definitely on me, but I look back and I was like, wow, he was hard, but it was definitely for my best interest. He was like my idol my whole life, so I loved the time we spent together, and he was like a coach to me too, as well as like a best friend. So LaSalle was interested in me really early on. I ended up going there all 4 years, first team All-State 3 years in a row, and a lot of Division I, Division II, Division III offers, but I was really closed-minded and immature at the time. I used Rhode Island as a security blanket. I don't know why. I look back and I'm like, geez, Jamie, your life would have been so different if you just left. But
you wouldn't be here on the very hit program Beverages with Brad.
Right?
So it all worked out for you, I guess.
Yeah, for real. PC had offered me a full ride, and unfortunately, my behaviors and things I was doing, they caught on to and had let me go. I had a really good career at CCRI, broke a lot of records there, and it was quoted in the newspaper, why is Jamie Angell going to CCRI?
Yeah.
So even with those choices I made then, I already felt less than. I knew people were wondering, what the hell is going on with this kid?
In other words, you felt like you weren't living up to expectations.
Big time. So Rick came my senior year. Nothing was set in stone, but I had some offers and agents to go play overseas pro. I think I froze initially again, and I realized at that time, now I realize how just immature and closed-minded I was.
Yeah.
I said, then I'll reconsider an offer after a year of taking that year off.
Yeah.
That was the biggest mistake of my life. And, I started to only care about, partying, and I got in a fight. I broke my hand. I went to the doctors, was given one prescription of a narcotic, and that was it.
People always look at prescription meds no big deal because a doctor prescribes.
Exactly,
so it's okay.
And that's the mindset with a lot of
But I
people.
feel like that's the most dangerous shit out there.
It sure is. Once I put it in, it just gave me this euphoria. It made me forget.
Numbed you?
Numbed me, for sure. I didn't feel anything. I was suppressing those guilt and shame and embarrassment and, being the wasted talent that I was, being talked about. So it became a point where I couldn't function without it. So I was so embarrassed to admit that and, say I needed help because I wasn't a person that would, I masked myself, And I end up in jail. A lot of assaults, physical assaults, fighting, domestics, unfortunately. Yep.
Did it take the passion away from you from basketball?
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah,
You just didn't
definitely.
give a shit about basketball.
I didn't even care. I didn't even care at the time. But at the same sense, it's kind of contradicting because I felt though my identity was ripped away from me when I wasn't Jamie Angell, the basketball star, anymore.
How about your dad at this point, who had been on this basketball journey since you were 3 with you?
He stuck by me. He really did. He stuck by me and supported me through it all, and I couldn't be more grateful for that. I would go to treatment. I was in, initially so many different outpatients, inpatients, but I never fully surrendered to it. It would always replace with something. So if I was okay, I'm not drinking hard alcohol, so I can have beer. Or if I'm not using prescription medications, I can smoke marijuana. And in reality, no matter if it was the first, second, or third time, it would always eventually lead me back down to what my drug of choice really was.
Did you have one moment of the light came through?
There was 2 big things. So in August 11th, 2014, I overdosed. Woke up with EMTs around me. I, took myself to treatment, and they had sent me away this time out of Rhode Island. They sent me to Vegas for 45 days. And initially from there, I thought I was going to come back to Rhode Island after 45 days. I ended up going out to treatment in Florida for almost a year, sober living. It was tough. It's really tough. Talk about deep, dark, lonely places trying to figure out who you are, never mind getting all the substances out of your body. something with, going away to treatment in Vegas and Florida had helped me. Like I had a lot of the tools and the knowledge, but I really wasn't applying it.
Yeah.
And then I got injured September 2nd. I'm an equipment mechanic, and I was working on a belt and pulley, and my hand got caught in the machinery. Chopped my finger, basically.
That's the picture you sent me.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were able to save my finger. They were not able to save the tip. I also broke every bone in my pinky finger and my ring finger. So they had to install plates and screws. I was devastated. What I thought would have, taken me out again for the rest of my life did the total opposite. It like woke me up to just living a new way of life. Losing part of my hand, my finger and my hand, biggest blessing that's ever happened to me. It was like blinders were lifted off my eyes when I came off it.
Yeah.
I wasn't
Like a weight off your shoulders.
Yeah, I wasn't using drugs, but the doctors have a way of giving these prescriptions that you think are in return going to help you. Like if you're going to do this, get off everything. I've never in my life felt what I feel now, like just how alive I feel again. Like I actually have motivation again.
Do you go to groups now?
Oh, I do.
And how helpful are the groups?
Honestly, that's like my medication today. That's what like saves my life. That's my lifeline. There's nothing more comforting than knowing everybody in those rooms that I go in understands how I feel.
What would you say to somebody right now who's battling a serious addiction?
What I would say is that you're definitely not alone. Just, give it up to God, man. There's like a different way of life if you really want it. Like, it's a one day at a time program, and it's like you can't do it alone.
Yeah, there's help out there.
I always thought I could do it alone. It's like a we program because I can't do it alone.
And then you go out and you also speak, right?
Yeah, I do commitments. Anchor Recovery Community Center has been like a huge part of my treatment when I came off the DRT, and they actually put me through their Recovery Coach Academy, and they're opening a teen center with kids with behaviors and addiction. And I think that'll be a good fit with my background in
now
sports.
Now you can help other people
Exactly.
that are going through it.
Exactly. And that's
Well,
pretty much it.
That is very awesome. I appreciate you doing the show.
Thank you, Brad.